So we are still discussing the first of the Satipatthana objects, Kaya, which refers to this collection of uh, physical material elements which can be discerned in a bodily experience on various parts of the body. Okay? And of the four elements, so far we have already discussed about the earth element. So earth element is this natural physical qualities of hardness, softness, roughness, or smoothness that appear in our bodily experiences that we know, such as touching, or pressing, or biting, and so on. So next we discuss the wind element. So wind element is actually, can say, very important for our practice, because wind element is predominant in our bodily experiences, which means that they are also wind element is also predominant in most of the bodily objects that we note in our practice, like rising, falling, sitting, standing, walking, in daily activities such as getting up, sitting down, stretching, bending, turning, and so on. Okay? Basically, all actions that involves motion or involves holding the body still in a certain posture is predominated by the wind element. Now, unlike the earth element, this wind element is more difficult to understand. Okay? So earth element is very straightforward. It's a very simple nature of hardness or softness, smoothness or roughness. Okay? So a very straightforward quality. Okay? But wind element is often misunderstood. Okay? So often during the interview, I hear yogis report about wind element. So, for example, once there's this yogi who come in and she was reporting about the walking meditation. So when she report about the uh, foot moving forward, so she say, "Oh, when the foot move forward, I can feel the air element." So, yeah. Usually when yogis talk, use such technical dharma terms, wind element, earth element, and so on, it's not clear. Okay. Mm. So, so we need to ask them to clarify, what do you mean? So when you say air element, what do you mean air element? So she say, uh, it's air element, no? The wind blowing, I feel. So I ask, what do you feel? And she said, the wind blowing. It feels cool. Then she has misunderstood what is the air element or wind element. And so she thinks it's the coolness. The coolness is not the wind element. uh, Coolness is the fire element. Okay? Mm. So, mm, so what is this wind element? Mm. Mm. So, wind element is actually the material nature of support. So it's the nature of support. It gives support. Okay? So uh, you can understand it by thinking about you know, they have this inflatable toy. So, for example, children play, the inflatable toy, like inflatable, let's say, dinosaur. uh, So, mm, so this toy, they pump air in. So, if you pump all the air out of it, what happened to it? eh? So the dinosaur will collapse, right? So you fall flat on the floor. uh, because without any air uh, inside it, there's no support, so it just collapse. Okay? You start to pump air into this inflatable toy. Okay? So as the air rushes in, the air starts to uh, push out from the inside out. It starts to push, okay? And as it pushes, it gives support. Okay? And so as it support, then the toy starts to stand up, starts to take shape, take the shape of a dinosaur, stand up. Okay? Mm. Mhm. So why does it take shape? Why does it stand up? Due to the nature of support from the air that you pump in. Okay? So this nature of support from the air, that is the wind element. Okay? So wind element is not literally the wind or the air that you pump in, but it is the nature of support due to that air, due to that wind. Okay? So in fact, it's not necessary to have air at all. You could as well, for example, instead of pumping air in, you can pump, let's say, water. You pump water into the toy. It will also take shape, right? It will also start to push and support. Yeah? Mm. So, so to some extent, water also gives support, right? Because there's the nature of support there. Right? Mm. Mm. Yeah. So in our body also, there's this nature of support. Right? So in our body is due to what? Because of the skeleton and the muscles. Uh, so it keeps the body upright, right? So, so in our body there is this nature, the wind element, the support. Okay. So because of this skeleton and muscles holding it together, right? So the body does not collapse. Mm. So without this support, the body will collapse, like all of you all um, sitting up, right? So why does your body not collapse onto the ground? Eh? Because there's this nature of support, the wind element, that's propping up the body, holding it up. Okay? So you can feel it in your sitting posture. So when you're not sitting, you bring your attention to the body, you feel there's a force, physical force that holds the body upright. So you can feel some sensation there, a sensation of uprightness, a stiffness, tension, and so on. Okay? You can feel it also in the standing posture. Mm. So in a walking meditation, at the end of the walking path, and you're standing and nothing, standing, you can feel this brightness of the body also. Mm. So there's this force that's holding the body up, mm, the support. Okay? And that is the wind element. Mm. Mm. So this nature of support, mm, because it's like the air in the inflatable toy that pushes and gives it support. So um, it also causes the sensation, physical sensation of pressure, a stiffness, a tightness. So as I keep pushing, so you feel the tightness, the stiffness. Mm. So this tightness, stiffness, and so on, these are the characteristic of the wind element. Okay? You can feel like when you're not rising, falling. So as you're not rising, you can feel the big pressure as it pushes. You can feel the tightness and the stiffness. So that is the characteristic of the wind element. Right? Mm. Now, because of its nature of support, as it's pushing, giving support. So it also causes this motion. Okay? Mm. So just like in the rising, falling. So as it pushes, you see it goes up. uh, So it causes motion. Okay? Mm, so causing motion, this is the function of the wind element. Okay? Mm. Because of this also you experience the bodily parts being brought from one place to another, the rising, falling, from falling it goes up, and then from up it goes down. So in the walking meditation, you feel the foot being lifted up, pushes forward, brought down. Okay? So this is the manifestation of the wind element. Okay? Mm. Now here it says that the function of the wind element is to cause motion. Okay? But actually, uh, according to the explanation in the commentaries, there actually is no movement. Uh, Movement does not really exist. Okay? So what we call movement, that explains actually just this material nature that arise and passes away, one after another, close to each other. Okay? So, for example, in the rising, falling, you note carefully, you notice it's this like tightness, then another tightness, then another tightness, uh, close by, uh, one after another. Okay? So, this is what we call motion. Okay? So, if you watch carefully, up and down movement, you watch carefully, your mind is clear, and you notice there's just this materiality rising and passing away one after another, close by to each other. Okay? So, but if your mind is not clear, you don't observe carefully, you're not sharp enough, then you see it as one smooth motion. Okay? Mm, mm. And it is the wind element that causes this motion. Okay? It's the wind element that causes this series of material nature that arises and passes away, and one after another, close by to each other. Mm. So you can discern the nature, the wind element, this nature of support, uh, as well as its function, of motion, and so on. You can discern this in various objects that we know: rising, falling, sitting, standing, walking, and in many of the daily activities. Okay? Now, the wind element we note during our practice, especially in the walking meditation and the daily activities, they are mostly what we call chitta jarupa. That means mind-born materiality, materiality that is produced or born from the mind. Okay? Mm. So, for example, in a walking meditation, if you observe carefully, uh, so before raising, there's an intention to raise. Okay, that's the mind, with the intention. Okay? So because of this intention, the raising occur. Yeah? So we produce the intention, produce the wind element that causes the raising of the foot. Okay, so you observe carefully, there's intention, then raising. Okay? Mm. And then because the foot is not fully raised yet, uh, another intention appear, and then it raises further, and then another intention, and then it raises further. Okay? So you observe carefully again and again. There's intention raising, intention raising. Mm. So, so this raising, the wind element, is caused by the mind, the intention. Mm. So actually, even the rising, falling also. Yeah? Rising, falling. Actually, if your mind is very clear, yeah, and sensitive, yeah, you may be able to observe. Actually, even the rising, falling, behind each rising, each falling, uh, there is an intention, that causes this rising, causes the fall. Okay? But it's a very subtle intention. Only when your mind is very sharp and clear, yeah, you'll be able to pick up, this very subtle intention. Mm. Mm. So, and throughout our waking hours, when we are awake, the mind actually is continuously producing, this wind element, to support our body. That's why when you're awake, your body don't collapse. Okay? So when you're awake, as you're sitting or standing or walking about, the body don't collapse because there's wind element produced by the mind continuously holds the body up. So the mind is continuously, as long as you are awake, and the waking consciousness is there. This consciousness continuously produce and this material element, this wind element, that supports the body. Okay? Mm. Yeah. As far as suppose, that a person loses his consciousness, the person faints. What happened? Hmm? The body collapse, right? Why does the body collapse? Because when you lose consciousness, the waking consciousness is cut off. Okay? And so when the waking consciousness is cut off, mm, so it no longer produce the wind element that supports the body. Yeah, so the body, without this wind element, the body will just collapse. Okay? Mm. So a yogi can experience this also when you're sleepy. So when you sit, at first your mind is, your consciousness is very strong. You're noting rising, falling, very energetic. Okay? The body is upright, uh, firm and upright. Because the consciousness is producing the materiality, holding the body upright. Uh, but when sleepiness comes, then the consciousness become weaker and weaker and weaker. And what happened to the body? Uh, The body also start to slouch, go down more and more. The more sleepy, the more the body slouch. Why? Because as the consciousness become weaker and weaker, the wind element that's produced also becomes weaker and weaker. So the support also becomes weaker and weaker. Right? Mm. So, uh, and if you totally fall asleep, what happens? The whole body just collapse. Because the consciousness again cut off. So the wind element also cut off. So you collapse, you fall very fast, you fall. But because you fall so fast, immediately you wake up. The moment you wake up, what happened? The waking consciousness return. Then again, it produces the wind element. It pulls the body up again. Okay? Uh, so, so you observe this process carefully. You can see the cause and effect. So when consciousness is strong, the body and the wind element is strong. Uh, When the consciousness become weaker and weaker, the wind element also become weaker and weaker. And the consciousness cut off, the wind element totally disappear. Okay? And the moment the consciousness return, the wind element also return. Mm. So you can discern the cause and effect relationship. If your mind is clear and you're mindfully observing moment to moment. Mm. So in the sutta, the Mahahatipadopama Sutta, the discourse, the greater discourse on the simile of the elephant footprint. That's from the Majjhima Nikaya. Okay? So in this sutta, the Venerable Sariputta, he talked about he listed out 6 types of internal wind element. Okay? Mm. Mm. So these are the types of wind element that can be found internally within our body. Okay? Mm. So the first one is the outgoing wind. So this is the wind element that supports upwards, pushes upwards. It causes vomit, causes burping. So some yogis here are experiencing a wind problem, they start to burp. So you note carefully, you can feel. When you're burping, you can feel the pressure building up. You can feel pushing, pushing, pushing. And that's the outgoing wind. Okay. Mm. The second is the downgoing wind. So this is the opposite of the upgoing wind. So instead of pushing up, it pushes downwards. Okay. So this is the wind element that is responsible for expelling excrement or urine or gas. Uh, So, so you experience this more when you go to the toilet. Mm. So, mm, so that's why in the Sampajana Pabba, the section on clear comprehension, Satipatthana Sutta, Buddha says, in defecating, in urinating, one applies clear comprehension. Right? So you must be mindful even when you're in the toilet, right? Doing your business, big or small. Okay? You can note the wind element at that time. Okay? Mm. Yeah. Then the third one is the wind in the belly. So in the stomach. Okay? Mm. So yeah. This one, Mahasi Sayadaw explained, is as the rising falling. Okay. So you breathe in, breathe out, and the stomach there it goes up, it goes down. Mm. So that rising, falling, that's the wind in the belly. Okay. Mm. And the fourth one is the wind in the bowel. It means in the intestines, right? So this is the wind element that pushes the the food that you eat, pushes it through the intestines as it is being digested. Okay? Mm. So, mm, so this particular wind is very important. Yeah? So, if this wind element, wind in the bowel, is weak, then the food cannot move early. What happened? It causes constipation uh, or even indigestion. So, on the other hand, if it's too strong, then it pushes too fast, then and this may cause the downgoing wind to become strong also, and then you may get diarrhea. And the fifth type of wind, internal wind element, is the wind element that runs through all your limbs. arms, your legs, as well as all runs through all the major and minor parts of the body. Okay? Basically, it's the wind element that runs through your entire body, and it causes various movement. Okay? So it causes the movement of sitting down, standing up. It produces various movements such as bending, stretching, walking, and so on. Okay? So, mm, mm. So you can feel this not just in the movement in the limbs, but in every part of the body. So when you turn your head, when you roll your eyes, when you open and close your eyelids, when you wriggle your fingers or your toes, and when your body twists here and there, or when it twitches, or when it jerks. uh, So it's this type of wind element that runs through the entire body. Okay. Mm. And also, sometimes you feel this tiny vibrations all over the body. Okay. If you put your attention on the palm of your hand, you feel carefully. There's this tiny microscopic vibration there. uh, So actually, you can feel these vibrations all over the body, whichever part of the body you direct your attention. You place your attention there. You feel carefully. You can feel there's tiny microscopic vibrations. This also caused by this wind element that moves through the body. Mm. Mm. So, as it moves through the body, it causes a lot of movement, great or small, all over the body. Okay? So our body is actually alive with movement. Not only when we are moving, even when we are sitting still. When you observe carefully in the body, there's tiny motion going on all the time. Mm. So, so there's all this wind element moving through the body all the time. Okay? Mm. So when you are very relaxed, uh, mm, this wind element flows very smoothly through your body. Mm. Then you feel comfortable. Then you'll be healthy. Yeah? So you'll be very relaxed. So when you try to sleep, you fall asleep very easily. Okay? Mm. But sometimes this wind element may get jam up. uh. For example, when you're not relaxed enough, when you're very stressed up, you're very tense up. uh, So then this wind element, because you're so stressed up, so tense, this wind element uh, can get jam up. Yes, then you start to feel stiffness, tension, discomfort all over the body. Yeah? When you try to sleep, you find you cannot fall asleep easily. Okay? Mm. So, so the wind element in our body is not balanced when it's either too strong or if it's too weak. Yeah? All kinds of health problems may arise. Yeah? Mm. Yeah. Then the sixth and the last type of internal wind element given by Venerable Sariputta is, of course, the in-out breath. Okay? Pasasa, pasasa, in-out breath. Okay? And this is what you know if you do anapana. Okay? Mm, mm. So all these six kind of internal wind element is present internally in the body. So you pay attention. You may notice this all these six type of wind element at one time or another during your practice. So they are not difficult to discern once you have a clear understanding of what the nature of the wind element is. Mm. Yeah, we stop here today. So, so. So